off at university, the very last thing he said to me before he left me alone in the adult world was, "Jillian, it is wrong to kill a man. But if you have to, you call me first and we'll do it right." I'm not kidding. He actually said that to me because one of our favorite activities in the English family is to play hypothetical body disposal. By family, I mean like me and my dad and my sister, and my mom's like, "You guys are sick," but we play it anyway. And we normally would start playing this game after we've watched too much Breaking Bad, or one of those shows that's like all acronyms that I swear only my mom watches, but they have high ratings. So for the longest time, as a unit, the best body disposal method we could come up with as a family was to take the body, freeze it. Now the freezing is really important. You're going to freeze it, you're going to cut it into small pieces, you're going to put it through a wood chipper. Preferably on a tarp, because you don't want your matter getting awry. Through a wood chipper, mix your body slush with some cement, and then you're going to pave something. Okay? Now if you're properly clever, whatever you pave, you're going to want to have to bury that as well. But that requires like two things. One, paranoia. And the second is forethought. So that would be for premeditated murders only, no crimes of passion. So that for the longest time, that was that Fargo-esque idea was the best we could come up with. And then one day, I'm from Nova Scotia, that will figure largely the next hour. It's a different world. So I'm from Nova Scotia, and my dad went to get some lobster straight off the wharf, because if you're buying it anywhere else, you're doing it wrong. So he goes down to the wharf, and he's talking to the fisherman he buys from, and the guy's super pissed at his mechanic, and he's talking about how he's going to throw this mechanic down a crab hole. And my dad is like, "What is a crab hole?" I will tell you, a crab hole is an area outside of the harbor where the lobster fishermen simply will not drop their traps. Because you could put a trap down there for like 5 minutes, haul it back up, full of crabs. Crabs inside, crabs outside, crabs hanging off the edges, crabs everywhere. It is a waste of time if you are lobster fishing. If you're looking to, say, get rid of organic material, however, ideal location. Because crabs are better than pigs at body disposal. I'm sorry, but it's true. They will eat the hair, they will eat the cartilage, toenails. Crabs don't give a shit. So, if you are ever invited by a lobster fisherman to go on a cruise to a crab hole, the time has come in your life to think about what wrongs you may have done this man. Because you're about to die for sure. And actually, there was the lobster murderers back home and was like, "Oh my God, it's real!" But it wasn't my dad, I swear. Okay, friend. Different part of the province. But anyway, I know you guys I'm here to see a show called Drag Queen Stole My Dress, and you're talking about crab holes. This show's not about crab holes. Although it could have been. This is not the dress that the drag queen stole. This is my wedding dress, as you can tell. If a drag queen had stolen this dress, you would not be here tonight to see a show called Drag Queen Stole My Dress. You'd probably be here seeing a show called Death by Crab Hole, or How I Murdered a Drag Queen, A Tale of Redemption, the Jillian English story. So no, this is not the dress the drag queen stole, but in order for you to even understand why it matters that at one point, the friggin' drag queen stole my dress. I'm still really not okay with that. I need to tell you about this dress first. And like I said, this is my wedding dress. And you may have noticed this dress is not white. It's off-white. Okay? It doesn't tell you what it is, it tells you what it isn't. And what it isn't is white. It's not ivory, it's not eggshell, it's not cream, it's off-white. I may as well have used goods running across my breasts. Okay? Cow's been milked. The SS Virginity set sail many moons ago. It's probably in India by now. If anyone's not getting what I'm trying to say, I have had premarital sex. Oh my God, I'm not the only one. Sometimes I do this show and people are like, it's like, it's okay, I'll take this in for everyone. But yeah, like many of you, I've had sex before marriage, and no one has been more vocal about this fact than my 97-year-old Nova Scotian grandmother. When I got engaged, she's like, well, you can't be wearing a white dress. You live in sin and the whole world knows it. Can you imagine? You getting down the aisle in a white dress and the whole congregation whispering about your sinful misdeeds. Now, that might sound as though my grandmother is a gossip monger, and it might sound like anyone who came to my wedding would be more concerned with the status of my hymen than my pledge of undying love, but Granny had a super valid point, which is we talk shit about everyone in Nova Scotia. It's the only thing to do. It's very cold and boring there. Without gossip, we would die. So she was right. She was right. I was living in sin. And I lived in sin for about 3.5 years. And I was engaged for 2 of them. Although I was not, technically speaking, engaged when I bought this off-white dress. I know, right? So, the man who I was supposed to marry, his real name is Scott, but for legal purposes tonight we will refer to him as Todd. Todd and I, we were living together, we were going to move to England together, we decided to get married, and I wasn't going to let a little thing like still being in school, not having a sustainable income, not having set a date, not actually being engaged. I wasn't going to let any of those things stop me from buying the perfect wedding dress at a 50% off sample sale, because that would have been crazy. Crazy. So, I wanted to get married, obviously, and I knew that Winchester's, which is the bridal boutique in Halifax. Halifax is the capital of Nova Scotia, just in case anybody doesn't know that. Nova Scotia. So, Winchester's, the primo bridal shop in Nova Scotia, was having a huge 50% off sample sale. And I knew that I had a 2.5-hour break in between rehearsals for Chekhov's Three Sisters. So, obviously the ideal time to go wedding dress shopping. Is everyone here familiar with Chekhov's body of work? It's fairly sad. You know, it's not a light and happy kind of thing. And in playing with How My Life Goes, I was playing the villain. I was playing Natasha. I really wanted to play Masha. Any young woman studying classical theater wants to play Masha like nobody's goddamn business. The actors in the club are like, yeah. And I got pulled aside by my Slovenian director, and he says to me, Jillian, I know you're wanting to be playing Masha. I know this. You'd be great, Masha, but thing is, I need a real evil woman to destroy spirits of classmates. Can you please, for me, destroy their spirits on the stage? How do you say no to that? I was like, yes, Yuri, I will. But my classmates, even though this was a classical acting program, not method, thank you very much, they were approaching it in a very method way, which means for the non-theater, the normals, the daywalkers, that means they hated me in the play, so they hated me in real life. And they were being really quite mean to me. And all of these things coming together were not making me feel super great as a person. So I was determined to feel better about myself, and the way I was going to do that was wedding dress shopping, even if that meant going alone. Now, I had plenty of people who could have come with me. I have a mother who loves me and is amazing. I have a sister. I had friends, but all of them are smart, sane people who knew that I wasn't actually engaged, and now was not the time to go wedding dress shopping. So I couldn't tell them that I was going wedding dress shopping and ask them to come with me, because they would have told me that I was being ridiculous and talked me out of it. So rather than face that tough love that I super needed, I just went alone. And I knew that it was super weird to go wedding dress shopping alone, but I didn't realize that I would be the only person in the entire shop by myself. And people are kind of looking at me, and the women are being very nice to me. And at first I thought, I was like, oh, they're just, you know, I'm just radiant and bridal or whatever. It occurred to me later on that they probably thought I was some poor orphan whose like mother had died in childbirth. And they're like, look at that poor girl. She has to wedding dress shop alone, soldiering through though. Not the case, just stubborn and stupid. So I was shopping and it was a huge sale and I saw this dress on the rack. And it doesn't look like much on the rack, but it struck me. It was fate and serendipity and destiny, because not only was it off-white to please my grandmother, not only was it 50% off on sale, but it was my actual size, like 5 years ago. This is a struggle right now. I am in here. I'm not 22 anymore. But it was also, the real seller was it was super, super on sale. Like this was even more on sale than all the other dresses. So obviously I had to have it. So I went and I tried it on and it was great. And are there any marrieds in the audience? Any marrieds? This is going to be new and edifying for everyone. So when you go wedding dress shopping, they quite literally put you on a pedestal. This is my pedestal for tonight. Up we go. Success. Okay. So you get on a pedestal and there's mirrors around you and everybody fawns over you and it's very exciting. And what normally happens is your best friend will clap their hands and they go, oh my god, Jill, that's it, that's your wedding dress, oh, you're so pretty. And they're really kind of secretly jealous that you're getting married and they're not. And like you're only a little bit smug about it. You're like, yeah, I have true love, it'll come to you someday. You'll get there. And your sister is like, oh man, I'm so proud of you. We're grown up now. This is pretty cool. And then your mother's just crying. And it's not her fault. Because you're so beautiful. And you're a little girl, and you're all grown up, and you're gonna get married, and it's beautiful. But like I said, I'm alone. So I have none of those things. I'm just standing on a pedestal staring at myself. And even though I had gone into that wedding dress shop determined to buy a dress by myself, when it came down to it, I really didn't want to do it alone. Like, I'm a very independent person. I carry my own groceries. I fix my own vacuum cleaner. I do my own emergency first aid on myself. I'm good. But this was a really important thing. This was supposed to be the most important dress in my life, and I didn't want to do it alone. And there was only one person I could call who could come down at that point, and that was my sister. So I called my sister. I say, look, I'm at the wedding dress shop. I want to buy this dress. Can you please just come down here and tell me your opinion? Sister was super hungover. Super hungover. Was like, fuck you, no. Hangs up on me. And I was like, alright, I'm going to handle this. And I'm standing there on the pedestal and I'm just looking at myself. And my sales lady's starting to get a little impatient with me. Because once you're on the pedestal, in a 50% off sample sale situation, you cannot get down. Because when you get down, you're either saying yes to the dress or no. And if I said no, there was a lady just like fucking chomping at the bit to get her shit hooks all over my dress. It would have been gone forever. And I wasn't letting it go because, like, I looked really good, you guys. Like, people were saying, like, oh my god, look at that girl. And they were coming over, and they were like, they wanted to see the tag on my dress. And one woman actually stopped and pointed at me and said, I'm not buying anything until I look that bridal. I swear to God, that's how good I looked. But I couldn't get down off the damn pedestal, so I started thinking up reasons why I had to stay on the pedestal. So I had my hair down. I was like, well, it'll look different. What if I do my hair different? So I was like, up, down. So, like I played with my hair until she was like, mm-hmm. I tried on little bolero jackets and shrugs in case I decided to have a winter wedding, as if anyone is stupid enough to get married in the winter in Nova Scotia. No. I tried on tiaras, you know, like you do. Every tiara in the shop. Every single one. And then I started trying on veils, even though I didn't even really want a veil. They seemed unnecessary to me. I'm going to get down for a second, but it's only to get this thing. So, they saw me coming a mile away. She comes over and this is is what you have bridesmaids for. Here we go. She puts this thing on my head, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, no, this is the veil I'm going to purchase, and I'm going to purchase this dress, but, oh, I don't know. And I wouldn't get down, so eventually I had to call my sister back, because this was happening. So I call her, and I say, look, Katie, I'm buying this dress. Can you please just pretend like you're happy for me and come down here and be my sister? To that, rather dramatically, she conceded, although she was not super happy about it. She showed up 20 minutes later, and she sat down and looked at me and she's like, that's okay, I guess your veil looks fucking dumb. And I was like, is that all you can say to me right now? I don't know what the fuck you want from me right now, Jill. What do you fucking want? I don't know. Tell me I'm beautiful and that you're happy for me and that everything's gonna be great. No. No, I will not say that to you. You're a goddamn idiot. You're being really fucking stupid right now, Jillian. You're not even goddamn engaged. You don't even have a ring. Shut up, I said. Yes, I do. Because yes, I did. This is my fake engagement ring. I purchased this on eBay. It is a synthetic. The sad thing is, this is true. This is a synthetic sapphire with a very interesting geometric cut, set with cubic zirconias in a very unique Art Deco setting. Because even I knew that it was insane to go wedding dress shopping without a ring. What would people think? So my sister, God love her, she had actually shut up, but she looked ready to explode. She was not pleased with me. Because it was at that moment the sales lady brought someone over to admire my gorgeous, unique engagement ring. What a wonderful fiance I must have to have bought me such a ring. Katie's head is going to pop right the fuck off. She's not having it. So she just sits there and she's like, do what you're going to do, I don't give a shit. And I'm standing there on what is supposed to be the happiest day until the next happiest day comes. And I'm standing on my pedestal staring at myself and I just silently start crying. And my sister just sits there. And everyone in the shop is staring at me because they've noticed that the brave, strong orphan is now crying because some surly blonde lady's being a cute bitch. So I have no idea what kind of stories were forming in their minds about me, the brave young orphan. So after a moment, I look at my sister and I say, I'm buying the dress. And the veil too. Not because this is a beautiful veil, but because I was a creature of intense spite. And I wanted to piss her off. My dress, the garment for what was ostensibly supposed to be the most important day of my life, this dress cost me $200. The veil, cathedral length. I was gonna get married in a cathedral, so it kind of made sense, right? Had to match. Cathedral length, off-white, obvi. Hand embroidered and beaded, scalloped edges, no blusher. This veil was $500. Oh my god! I know, right? What the hell? So, I spent my rent money buying a veil. And when you buy a wedding dress, I think this happens at all bridal shops, but it might just be Winchester's, who knows. There was a big bell that you were supposed to ring. And all the other really pretty brides all day, they were like, ah! And they rang the bell, and their moms took photos with them, and their bridesmaids and stuff, and everyone would cheer and clap when they bought their dress, and it was so exciting. So I paid for my dress and my veil. And they went to ring the bell. My sister had no inclination to take a photo of that moment. Nobody clapped, nobody cheered, nobody cared. And my sister just looked at me and said, can we fucking go now? And she looked like she might hurl. I don't know if that was from her hangover, or the sisterly experience we had just shared. I'm going to go with both. Because she was very mad at me, and she wasn't even mad that I was buying a wedding dress. She was mad that I bought it to marry Todd. Because this dress is the physical embodiment of the moment I completely gave up on me and fully committed to we. Even though we sucked. Oh my God, we sucked so hard. We were rocky. We fought all the time. It was like, it just wasn't a good idea, but we were like, this is what is happening. So that was what was gonna happen. I had grown up a type A kid. I was an overachiever, and there was no such thing as failing because I'd never done that before. I could do whatever I wanted because everything I did always succeeded, so that was what was going to happen. I said I was marrying this man, and that was happening no matter what. We were perfect. And if having a wedding to someone that wasn't perfect was what I had to pay to not let anybody know that I had made a mistake, well, hey, that's where we were. So, in order to save face, we got to go, or we got to stay, and we had to go. And when I was just me, I knew exactly who I was. I was a very well-defined, I was one of those kids that you know the teachers talk about in the staff room. They're like, fuck that kid. Shut up! I was that child. I was very sure of myself. I was 20 years old. I just abandoned my plans to be a lawyer. I was full stream ahead in acting. I was going to be the next Meryl Streep. I was very outspoken, said whatever the hell was on my mind. I was angry for no other real reason that I was just really good at it at that point. I'm not the only one. I know you're out there. And I was, I suppose some people would have called me a bitch. That was my bitch. Fuck, I love that bitch. And then I got sucked into this thing. I didn't get sucked in. I dove into this thing, and I refused to get out of the water. And who I was got fuzzier and fuzzier until one day I had no idea who I was anymore, and I didn't care. I, honest to God, didn't care that I was someone I couldn't even recognize, because all that mattered was this relationship. And that bitch that I love so goddamn much, she just got locked away in the back of my head. There was nothing for her to do there but just stir and go crazy for about 5 years. 5 years. Those years, the Todd years, as they are now known in my family, they were very character building times for me. And they've made me into the woman I am today, which is a vehement feminist that lives alone with her cat. Yeah. Which is the best of all possible lives. Any cat people in here? Yeah. Cats are the best, right? Because they love you no matter what, unless they get out. If you bring the food, they have to love you. So as long as you feed them and you don't let them ever get away, everything will be great. Well, the Todd years, they started off really great. He wasn't always a terrible person. He was the best when I met him. He was fit and tall and super intense and really determined, and we had such a great rapport. We had very strong feelings from the beginning, although when we first met, we weren't, we were more enemies or like frenemies than anything else. We were competitive debate partners in university, which is just as sexy as it sounds. And at our first away tournament, because we won several tournaments, you guys. Master debater. I made the joke so you could. And we were. I don't drink coffee. I've never had I've never swallowed a sip of coffee. I'm not Mormon. I'm not. I just don't want it. Just don't give it to me. Thank you. So at this away tournament, on our second day, Todd thought that I was hungover, which I was not. I was simply very tired from having stayed out so late drinking the night before, which is the key difference. But he insisted that I have coffee to sober me up, and I was like, I can either be hungover or drunk, I can't be both, pick one. He didn't care. So he brings me this cup of hot black cafeteria coffee, he puts it in front of me, he's like, drink it. me, being me, I took a sip and I spit it in his face. Who wouldn't want to marry me? Obviously, I didn't always spit hot liquids in his face. That was just in first year university. By the time second year got going, we were really good friends, and by the time third year started, I was ready for this man to be my boyfriend. So he didn't really have a say in it. I had made the decision. So early on that year when he invited me over to his house to watch Waiting for Guffman and make me dinner, I accepted with glee and delight because this was it. It was boyfriend time. So I go over and I honest to Christ cannot remember what he made me to eat. I probably didn't eat it anyway because I'm a super weird eater and I'd be like, I have an allergy. I probably lied. And then he put on the movie and we'd been watching for about 5 seconds and 2 female friends of his just show up at the door and come in and sit down for what I thought was a date. My first date with my soulmate. I was not a happy camper. I don't know if you can tell, but I can kind of give off a really angry, killy vibe sometimes. I'm just gonna adjust. Here we go. And so I just stared. I think the kids call it like throwing shade. Like I just, I did that at them until they left. And Todd, of course, completely oblivious, had no idea that this was even going on. He's like, oh, okay, bye guys. So we finished out, and I was doing all the classic. I was like snuggling in real closer. It's just like, he was oblivious, which is also a recurring theme through the rest of the show. And so the film ended, and Halifax, despite being quaint and lovely, is actually, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most dangerous cities in Canada. I will walk home at 4 in the morning here in Toronto. I will walk home at 4 in the morning in New York. I actually did walk home at 4 in the morning in East Berlin. Good to go. I will not go out after dark in Halifax. You will get curb stomped. So, Todd was walking me home, and it was really nice, and it was really sweet and romantic. And we got to my house, and he came inside, and he leaned. And I was like, ah, he's leaning in to kiss me! Yes! I shall be the strong and independent young woman that I am, and I shall grab him and kiss him first, and it'll be super sexy. It turns out he was just leading, and was very disconcerted by my forward sexual advance. He pulled away from me, managed to stammer out, I gotta go! And then, not even kidding, I wish I was making it up. And then he ran away, like sprinted. He was a track star at the time. Sprinted, made an excellent time, just booted it away. Excuse me, cider. I was super embarrassed by this. We were attending a small school called the University of Nova Scotia. And if you're thinking, hey Jill, that sounds like a big school, you're right, it is. I do not want to get sued. So we're at the University of Nova Scotia, and it's a very small school, and has a population smaller than most high schools. And if you happen to work at one of our 3 buildings, you're going to run into the same people multiple times per day, every day. So everyone's going to know your business, and it's going to be awkward as fuck. I call it the fishbowl for a reason. And so, for a week, Todd and I had some of the most awkward encounters known to man. I present to you a vignette. Okay, in this scenario, I will be playing 2 characters, myself and Todd. I will let you know. I promise it won't be too confusing. I'm me right now.
Okay.
Hi. Now I'm Todd. Now I'm me again. Todd. So the frosh are dumb this year. goddamn week. Until one night, I was just like, I cannot take it anymore. And my roommate was like, fucking handle your shit. We probably didn't talk like that. It was like 2005, but whatever. She's like, handle your shit. She didn't want me moping around the house crying anymore. So I knew it was about, I don't know, like 2 in the morning. I knew that all the frosh had a big paper, so his roommate was out like tutoring young people. So I knew he was alone. And I marched up to his apartment. I knocked on the door, and he answered it, and I said, look, I need to deal with my emotions, and right now my emotions involve you, so you have to deal with them too. And he accepted that for some reason. And he let me into his home. And like the debate partners we had been, we decided to discuss the pros and cons of being in a relationship. I took the pro side, and Todd was decidedly con. So I was like, pro, we're really great friends, so we're already super comfortable with each other. And Todd was like, con, we're both really busy. Valid point, Todd, valid point. So I said, pro, we work at the same place, so we see each other all the time anyway. And he said, con, kind of like scared of sex. Oh. I felt so bad. Because in my head I'm thinking, oh sweetie, I'm just going to break you in and it'll be A-okay. But I can't say that to the poor guy. So instead I just said, I don't care about sex. And with that epic lie, he conceded that my proposition of a relationship was a great idea. And we had a little kiss, and that was it. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. Hooray! Oh, if only I wasn't such a master debater. Life would have been so different. So different if I'd only lost that debate. So yeah, we were together. That's how it went. And eventually he would propose to me about 2.5, 3 months after I'd already bought my wedding dress. And I was hoping for something unique and special. I didn't want the Eiffel Tower rented out, but you know, something nice. You know, when you get proposed to, you want to be surprised and delighted. And that was way too much work for Todd. The second he had enough money to purchase the ring I had picked out, because of course I picked out my own engagement ring. Are you kidding me? It was gorgeous. The second he had enough money, he went down to the shop, he bought it, and he came straight home to propose to me. I was doing the dishes. I was wearing sweatpants. Not even yoga pants. This was the time before yoga pants. I was wearing sweatpants. And I was wearing a t-shirt that had holes in it. I had no makeup on, greasy hair, and I had taken off my bra for the day. Now, I don't really feel like it bears pointing out, but I got some big boobs. Ow! Woo! Nothing I can do about that shit. But if I have taken my bra off for the day, nothing is gonna happen for the rest of the goddamn day. I will do nothing. The house had better be burning the fuck down if you want me to put my bra back on. That's all I'm saying. We're done for the day. We are done. I can't pick them back up again. It's too hard. It's difficult. Hey ladies, you feel me, right? Thank you. So, Todd comes home, and it was Christmas time, so he leads me over to our Christmas tree. And he starts telling me how much he loves me, and how I make him better, and his life is, you know, great with me, and like all that beautiful garbage. And I knew what was coming, and I did not want it in the state that I was in. And so I was like, wait! In the middle of his proposal. And ran into my room to put on a bra and jeans, because obviously that makes all the difference. Obviously. And I can still remember our apartment so well. I can remember the fairy lights from the tree glinting off all the beer cans we had stacked up against the balcony door. And I can remember the carpet. It was covered in stains because it was a white carpet. And Todd would be forever spilling cranberry juice on it. And I would come home and he'd be like, I don't know how to get it out. And then we would just have cranberry all over our carpet. And it was really crunchy. Because I know. I love your face for that. The vacuum cleaner was broken, and Todd had attempted to fix it, and he did not succeed. And I was not allowed to try to fix the vacuum cleaner, for I am but a woman. So obviously I couldn't fix it, and getting it fixed professionally wasn't an option, so we just had crunchy floor, because Todd had this adorable habit of never taking his shoes off, no matter what. So it was full of, I know, I heard someone go, oh my god, fucking right. And the smell, it was like, I don't know, are the sports people here? Do you ever stick your face in like a gym bag? Sports! Because Todd claimed we couldn't afford to do laundry, and he had an adorable habit of just leaving his dirty socks and underwear strewn about the home.
Gross.
That was my life. This is what I was proposed to him. I'm just painting a picture for you guys. And there was just a hint, there was a top note of stale grease from this novelty hot dog roller. He insisted we had to have, used twice, never cleaned it, and it just sat there. I suppose I could have cleaned up too, but wait. No. Whatever. No, thank you. It's not all my responsibility. Fuck the patriarchy. So that was what was happening. And once I had my boobs uplifted and like something, you know, Friday casual on downstairs, we were engaged. Hooray! It was great. Everyone was so excited. My parents pretended to be excited because they super weren't. This was the time when Todd's shine as star boyfriend had really started to dull. My sister hated him. And my father fucking hated him. And my mother, who is one of the smartest women I've ever met, knew that if she said a word to me that was even slightly negative about him, I would just dig my heels in deeper. So she never said anything bad. She told me after the fact what she actually thought about him, and that was that he was a pompous asshole. But it's fine. The thing is, I got it. This requires freshie.
Cheers.
Woo! Cheers. Woo! Yeah. So there was no planning or forethought to my engagement and proposal, which was a fairly constant thing in my life. Par exemple. We were living in the apartment, the one with the crunchy floors and the smell. We were living in that apartment, and this was before we had been engaged. And we had been in there for several months, and even though he had a job at the University of Nova Scotia as in maintenance and had access to a key-cutting machine all day, every day, he had not yet got himself a key to our home. 3 months we'd been living there. So I went to Ottawa one weekend for my cousin's wedding, and being the lovely fiance or girlfriend, I suppose I was at the time, that I gave him my key while I was out of town and reminded him for probably like the 400th time what my cell phone number was, in case he needed to tell me something. Living with the dude doesn't know my cell phone number, or my email address for that matter. Time before Facebook. Also. So I go to Ottawa, I come back from Ottawa. I get to my apartment building, and I followed somebody in, and I go up to our floor, and I go to open the door, and the door is locked. Hey, that's fine. Halifax is not a safe city. Lock your goddamn doors. I knock on the door. No answer. That's okay. He's probably taking a nap. We were super keen on napping. I still am. It's the best. He's not answering. I'm like, that's okay. He's probably out buying me a welcome home cake. I'll just sit here and wait. So I sit and I wait. He's not coming back. And our landline, because oh yeah, we had a landline. This is the past. It kept ringing. And I was like, who the hell is trying to get a hold of us so insistently, and they don't just call my cell phone? This is bizarre. And he's still not back, and I was like, that's okay. I bought this book of Truman Capote short stories in the airport. I'll read one or two of those. I read the entire book. Still no Todd. I have a don't panic tattoo for a reason. 1, nerdy, 2, panic. If you haven't, like, if I'm supposed to meet you and you're late, I'm not like, oh, they're probably, you know, stuck in the subway, or they're bitchy. I'm like, they're dead, or, you know, they've been sold into the European sex trade, and now we need Liam Neeson to rescue them. That's where my brain will go. So I'm sitting there, my fiance is missing, and or boyfriend, it was a weird time. My common law husband was missing, and so I start calling everyone. I call his friends, I call the university where we were working. No one's seen him or heard from him. Don't know where he is. I'm starting to really get upset now. I called the fire department, I called the hospitals, I called the police to see if he was like stuck up a tree, or had been hit by a car, or had been arrested. No such luck. They didn't have him. And now I was really worried, because surely he was dead in a ditch somewhere, because he knew I was coming home. And he wouldn't just lock me out of our own home, like out of forgetfulness, would he? At this point, our landlords have long since gone to bed. It's very late, and I'm desperate. And my sister was like, just come stay with me, it's fine. And I was like, no, I'm sleeping in my own goddamn bed tonight. And in sheer desperation, I called the university president's house to see if maybe he was there for a party or something. So remember, University of Nova Scotia is very small, and we tended to party at the university's president's house. It happened on occasion. It was a desperate attempt, for sure, because I'm calling the president of my university at like 3 in the morning to see if my wayward boyfriend happens to be there. So I call, and it's ringing, and the president's daughter answers. And it's like, hi, I'm really sorry, but I'm looking for Todd. Have you seen him? Oh yeah, he's right here, 1 second. He had agreed to house sit and babysit while I was out of town and neglected to tell me. Again, I lived with this man! He gets on the phone. Oh my God, Jill, where have you been all day? I've been worried sick and calling the house all day long. About 2 seconds later, the vast expanse of his idiocy occurred to him, and he started crying and begging forgiveness. And I became one of those women you see in the middle of the night dragging a suitcase and screaming into a cell phone. So the next time you see that, you see a woman just like, ah! This is my cell phone in this instance. Dragging a suitcase, and you'd be like, oh my God, I know what happened. Her boyfriend locked her out like an idiot. And then you pity that poor woman, because it's not fair. Also remember, in this situation, I'm going to him. That's right. He still didn't come back to our goddamn apartment. I had to walk up Spring Garden Road at 3:30 in the fucking morning to him. And he met me on the street and literally fell on his fucking knees. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Because he thought then and there that I would break up with him on the spot for being so fucking stupid. And I should have. Why didn't I? Because it's not, I get, like, now it's kind of funny. It's like, haha, I was locked out for like 11 hours in my own home. Because someone did not think, oh, where will she go? To our home! Like, but for me now, looking back, it's just the biggest red flag ever of this person didn't actually care about me that much at all. Or at some point in those, like, 11 hours, it would have occurred to him that, you know, maybe leave where you are and go look for me, or go to the place where we live. But, you know, said I would marry him. And I was in pretty deep, so I believe gamblers call it sunk cost fallacy. So gamblers and me, when do we give up? Never! So I comforted him. Obviously, I had to. And, you know, we soldiered on, like you do. You know, denial is not just a river in Egypt. It's actually a bay in southern Australia. It's called Denial Bay. Look it up. It's hilarious. But it is also a very strong tool of the mind. And I was using denial to get through my entire life every day to justify the lengths to which I would go just to hold my fucking dog's breakfast of a life together. And if you've never heard the term dog's breakfast, it just means a big fucking mess. You're welcome, you can have it. Yeah, my grandmother. You know, there was a time when he would buy me roses just because he wanted to give me something pretty. The last Valentine's Day we were together, he gave me a dozen donuts. Half of which he'd already eaten. And a previously viewed DVD copy of The Untouchables. What a life I lived. So, that was a time. During this time, in the apartment with the crunchy floors and the locking out and all that fun stuff, when we were still in Halifax, I was supporting us, which I'm just going to point out. I know there's a lot of artists here tonight, and this is a public service message from me to you. If you are dating a normal, a day walker, whatever, financial analyst, we've all been there, and you're the one earning all the money, that is a problem. That is a serious, serious problem. If you are a professional artist and you are the breadwinner, and you're not like George Clooney, something's a fucking problem. Keep that in mind for your future romantic engagements. So, I was earning all our goddamn money by being a showgirl at Casino Nova Scotia Live the Thrill. Now, I was not like a beaded bikini and feather headdress showgirl, because those do not fit me, those costumes. Nowhere, like, those are very thin and shit. Very thin and pretty girls. They don't have my bust. And also, I'm classy. I'm fucking classy. I was a character showgirl, okay? So I played Marilyn Monroe. I was, most of the time I was the Queen of Hearts. I was Betty Boop on occasion. When the tall ships were in the harbor, I was a pirate wench. And during the Busker Festival, I was a mermaid. Obviously. So, at Casino Nova Scotia, the Thrill, they have a very strict, no touchy showgirl policy. Okay? So there's no sex in the champagne room, you don't get to touch the showgirls. That's just how it goes. And during my tenure at Casino Nova Scotia, the fucking Thrill, I was personally responsible for the lifetime bans of 5 gentlemen from all great Canadian casinos. You are welcome. Yay! Bye bye pervs! So, the first gentleman to be banned from all great Canadian casinos on my behalf, he spit on me when he lost a hand of blackjack. He'd been winning until I walked by, and I know, honestly. He lost when I walked by, so he was like, "It's your fault!" Security disagreed. And he got the old heave-ho. Has anyone here ever had someone physically thrown from a building for harassing you? It's amazing. It's so good. Security took such great care of us. If somebody looked at me funny, they'd be like, "Hey man, I'm looking at the showgirls funny." Like, they took great, except for one incident. I shall divert for a moment. I'm still pissed about this, because I'm like, years later, I'm still talking about it. When I was Marilyn Monroe, there was one old lady at a penny slot. She was always there. She's probably still there. She's not dead. And every time I walked by, she would pinch my butt and say, "You got her tits, but you ain't got her ass. Marilyn had a better ass than you." Every time. And you might be thinking, that's not that big of a deal. I'm talking like 38, 40 times a shift. This woman will be like, "Meh, meh," every time. And security would laugh and laugh and laugh. They'd be like, dude, she is physically causing me harm. And like, she's old. And I'm still very mad that that lady did not get bounced on her fucking ass. Because it's gender discrimination. Equal rights for all. Get that bitch out. Anyway. It's fine. I'm fine with it. The second gentleman who got banned from all great Canadian casinos, not the old lady, but the second person, I actually kind of feel bad for this guy because he didn't spit on me, he wasn't mean, he was just a very curious young man. I was dressed as the Queen of Hearts, so huge, like corset, huge hoop skirt, like all kinds of fun stuff happening. And this guy, he just wanted to know what was going on underneath. He was just really curious. I can't blame him. But casinos are very cold, at least Casino Nova Scotia Liverpool. It was very cold. So all of us showgirls, when we were the Queen of Hearts, we had jeans and sneakers on under there. So their shifts were really long, so why wear fancy shoes if you don't need to? And why be cold if you don't need to? Because the dress was far enough away from your body that if you weren't wearing something downstairs, you would definitely feel like you're walking around bottomless, which is not a fun sensation in a casino. So this guy wanted to know what was happening underneath. So he just, he ran. I'm not going to do it because it won't end well. So he ran at me, he did like a baseball dive and slide and stuck his head up under my skirt. I know. This happened. I'm sorry. And I'm assuming he was hoping for something sensual? Like perhaps shaved legs. Huge presumption on his part. Like a goddamn bamboo forest down there, guys. And maybe like some sexy panties, or no panties mayhaps. But when he got underneath and saw that I was wearing jeans and sneakers, all I hear echoing from under my skirt is, "Ah, nuts!" And then security grabbed him by the feet, like he was in Liam Neeson's Take It. I love it! Ah! Like, just yanked him out of there like he was his daughter. Like those films. Okay, so the third, fourth, and fifth gentlemen to be banned from all great Canadian casinos on my behalf are a package deal. So like I said, I was Queen of Hearts most of the time, and we were trying to get people to play super special blackjack. So they're already playing blackjack. We want them to have like a side bet where they get two queens, they would win. So there's always two queens of hearts. So I'm out with my compatriot, and we were talking to a group of guests, which is what you call gamblers, at a casino. And we had to make sure that like the regulars, or addicts, as they're known in the rest of the world, felt happy and welcome. And so that's all we did. We didn't have a show with showgirls. We were just talking to random drunk people who were like spending their pogey, which is welfare for people not from Nova Scotia, on slot machines. Spoking, yes. Thank you. Moving on. So, I'm talking to this group of three gentlemen with my compatriot, all dressed as Queen of Hearts. And two of them are super chatty, and one is not saying a goddamn word. He's just staring. And he's a short young man. He comes up to about here. And after a while, he looks at me, as in the eye as he could, in his state, and says, "That's a very unimpressive situation you have going on right there." At which point, he face plants into my cleavage and starts vigorously motorboating me. We all know what that is? I cannot do it. I'm not that bendy. Now, my compatriot had about your reaction to that situation. She was a very delicate flower. She got to do the feather headdress, beat a bikini showgirling. And she goes, "Oh my God!" And she throws her arms up in the air, and she starts to fall over. Because she is also wearing jeans sneakers, and her laces have become tangled, and she starts to go down. She is on my left side. In a desperate attempt to stay upright, with her right hand, she clamps on to the left sleeve of my dress. To no avail, down she goes, and she takes the top half of my dress with her. Meanwhile, that guy's still just fucking giving her in there, having a great time. And his two friends are rolling around on the floor laughing in hysterics. So security comes over and they wrench the man from my breast. And they get the boot. standing there, puddle of a showgirl to my left, dress around my waist. Everyone in the casino being like, what? Wondering how the fuck my life has come to this point. But this is a thing I will willingly do. They pay really well, you guys. I was like, dignity, screw you, I'll take the money.
I should hug you.
Oh, thanks. So, I'm standing there, breast covered in saliva, life a mess. It was fine. I went back to work the next day, whatever. Girls gotta eat. Years later, I returned to Casino, Nova Scotia, the thrill, with a dear friend of mine from Australia. And she's like, look, I need to see this place. I don't believe that it exists. I don't believe that any, like, those things could actually happen to you. I want to go and see it. We have to go. So I'm like, fine, let's go. So we go to the casino. This is years later, like 3-4 years later. And all the security staff are new. But somehow they know who I am. I'm curious. And I get down on the floor, and all the blackjack dealers and the craps, everybody knows who I am. And my friend is like, this is weird. You haven't been here in years. How do they all know you? And I'm like, I don't know. So the head of security was still the same. And he comes up to me, he's like, oh, hey, chill. Are you back? Are you working? I was like, no, I'm just here with my friend having a drink. Question. Why does everyone know who I am? And he was like, oh, it's Christmas. That provides me no context whatsoever. I'm going to need a little bit more. It's like, oh, well, we just had our Christmas party. We watch your video every year. It's the highlight of the gag reel. Because it was a casino, so every possible friggin' angle, they're on it. And they watch it every goddamn year at their Christmas party. Famous. Anyway, that's how I made a living until I left, and I moved to England where I met my Aussie friend. And I was doing my master's in classical Shakespeare performance. Super useful degree, you guys. Highly recommend it. lots of practical application in the real world. And Todd was doing his master's at the University of London in biochemistry. Does that sound fake enough? So, so everything that had been frustrating and mildly annoying in Halifax just got multiplied like crazy in England. Everything was terrible because when my student loan came in, that was our money and we spent it. And when his student loan came in, that was his money. And if I wanted anything, and I'm talking anything, I had to ask permission to have money, like to buy toilet paper or a shirt or get a beer with my friends after class. And everything devolved fairly quickly. And he had a really rough go in grad school. Like, every time someone wanted to read his paper, it would crash, and or someone would steal his computer, or like I never saw anybody have such an implausible run of terrible luck. Poor guy. So things weren't good. They were terrible. But I was doing really well at Lambda. It was really exciting for me, and he wasn't used to not being the best. So he was continually trying to sabotage me and telling me, you know, that I wasn't actually that good. And, you know, there was probably a quota, and that's how I got in, and stuff like that. And you might be thinking, okay, this guy sounds like he needs a bit of help. And you're right, and I tried my best, but we all know the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it go to therapy if it doesn't want to. So I graduated from Lambda, and I really wanted to stay in England. I loved it there, I had really great connections, I'd done well. I wanted to have a go at being a West End actor. But Todd had secretly dropped out of his master's program and not told anybody, and including me. I found this out much later on through investigation. He wanted to come home to Canada. And for him, Canada meant Toronto. He was from Toronto. And for me, Canada was Nova Scotia. But he kept saying, you know, if we just go back to Canada, everything will be better. everything will be so much better in Canada, we just have to go back. And I was like, oh, please, for the fuck, don't make me move to Toronto. I'm sorry, I'm from Nova Scotia. We're bred to hate you guys.
It's true.
Yeah, thank you. But I conceded, and the main reason I didn't want to move to Toronto was not that I was supposed to hate this place, but it was because Toronto met Todd's mother. Todd's mother in my family is affectionately known as Bitch Face LaRue. My mother named her that. And my mother was also the first person to unfriend her on Facebook. She was like, I don't want anybody thinking I'm friends with that woman. What can I tell you about Bitch Face LaRue? Well, I'll tell you the first time I met her. I had serious eye problems as a youth. And when I was... Why is that? It's funny. You're almost blind! I had it surgically fixed. And I had to come to Toronto to get it surgically fixed because we didn't have that kind of surgery in Nova Scotia at the time. So my mom and I come up, and Bitch Face LaRue insists upon a meeting. I couldn't wear any makeup at the time because I just had eye surgery. So my mom and I spent, I don't know, an entire day picking out the perfect meet the parents dress and shoes, which is difficult because I have like Yeti feet. So we walked all over Toronto before we found one store that was like, oh, shoes. Anyway, so much time straightening the living bejesus out of my hair because I couldn't touch my face. And I'm, you know, this, it could peel off, you guys. This is all makeup. So I go and we meet them at somewhere that's very comfortable for them, like some country club or whatever, I don't know. Mom and I are like, alright, sure, free booze. So we get in, and we're waiting there, and they arrive after us. And you would think that my future mother-in-law would say, hello, nice to meet you. How are you? How was your eye surgery yesterday? She walks up to me, looks me up and down, and goes, you're tall, and walks the fuck away. That was it. That is how I met that woman. You're tall. Then she was like, you don't wear heels around Todd, do you? Because that would be ever so emasculating for him. I was like, I'll wear what I want, bitch. Later on, during the meal, I had to excuse myself to put drops in my eyes, because again, eye surgery. And Bitch Face LaRue takes this opportunity to turn to my mother and say, so what exactly was wrong with Jillian's eyes? Was it genetic or self-inflicted? What? To which my mother, whom I love so much, replied, I don't know, her eyes are messed up. What the fuck kind of question is that? What's wrong with you? My mother is the only person I have ever seen Bitch Face LaRue be genuinely terrified of. And it was amazing. And my mom used to, like, every time she saw her, she'd like, watch this, watch this. And she'd just, like, just poke her a little bit. Just make her really uncomfortable. So my mom's that kind of woman who can do that. And I love her, and it's amazing, and I want to be her. But at the time, I was not being like my mom. I wanted this woman to like me so much because she was going to be my mother-in-law. We were going to live in Toronto, and I was going to have to deal with this family of people. And so I was quiet, and I wasn't the outspoken type A kind of person I'd always been. I got quieter and quieter, and I would sit there when she would say things like, of course your mother has 3 degrees. She did them in Nova Scotia where it's so easy. We have standards in Ontario. Bitch! Yeah. My mom is so smart. One Thanksgiving, I politely declined to eat her chocolate mousse. I simply do not enjoy the texture of a mousse. I find it odd in my mouth. I don't want it in there. So I was just like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm an actor. I have to be skinny. She went to the other room, which would be like going, like, from here to there, and screamed that I was a hateful, harpy, Nova Scotia white trash bitch. Like, just every horrible word you could think, and she was just screaming these words at Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm sitting there And I have Todd across from me and Todd's father there. And I was like, I feel like I should go. And Todd's dad was like, no, everything's fine, this is fine. I was like, what? He's like, oh, it's normal. Like, is this my new normal? Is this gonna be my life? Bitch Face LaRue and Todd's mother, or Todd's father, the same person, they didn't speak. They only emailed each other. They were married, lived in the same house, didn't actually talk to each other, only via digital message. Todd's mother blamed all of his issues on me, from his failing to complete his master's to his intense weight gain. I'm talking like 110 pounds in less than a year. That was my fault. Everything was my fault. She used to have her 22-year-old daughter sit on her lap and she'd play with her hair and make her promise to never, ever move away. I could do an entire show about the living hell this woman made in my life. But you know what? Let's just call a cunt, and move on. If you don't like that word, I'm sorry. Because the English language is such breadth and specificity when you land on the perfect word for someone, nothing else fits. And that bitch was a cunt!
Nice.
Anyway, it was around this time that the little bitch in the back of my head was starting to get super impatient with me. Because she would not have stood for somebody saying horrible things about her at Thanksgiving dinner. And the little voice in my head started to get louder and louder. And I couldn't disregard it anymore. And I got up one morning and I looked at this lump of a man I used to love, who just, he didn't bathe or shower anymore. He didn't brush his teeth. It was really gross. And I get it, he had problems, but there's only so much one 24-year-old girl can do when her own life is crumbling around everything. I was doing everything I could to try to suck this back up together, and I sat on the edge of my bed, and there was a little voice that was like, you're 24 and this is your life? And another voice was like, no, it's okay, it's okay. Everything will be fine. It was perfect before, it can be perfect again. I can fix this. And the other voice was like, no, you can't. This is a disaster. We need to run away. We can go anywhere but here. And the other little voice was like, where? Where are we going to go? Where? Nova Scotia and do what? What, work for Sobeys? No. Sobeys is from where I'm from. And it's like, no, we can't. Well, we have a wedding coming up. What about that? And the other voice is like, fuck the wedding. We don't need, you don't want to marry this man. We'll get out of it. And the other voice is like, how? How do we get out of it? There's no way. We're too far gone. We're getting married in 5 months. We can't get out of the wedding now. And then there's a third voice who's like, everybody shut up. I will deal with this. Except the only thing that was said out loud was me yelling, everybody shut up. I will deal with this. So, when the time comes where you feel the need to verbally respond to the voices in your head, it's changing time. Lucky for me, something epically catastrophic took place that kind of made the decision for me. It was March 9th, 2010, and I was at home. I was puppeteering later that night. Again, still earning all our money. The puppeteer was paying the friggin' rent. And Todd was working for his grandmother. I don't know, he was at his grandma's house all day. And I get a call from our supers. So we're living in Toronto at this point, obviously. And I answer the phone and she says, look, honey, if you don't pay your rent, you're going to get evicted. And I said, I don't know what it is you're talking about. We paid our rent on the 1st, like we do, always. What are you on about? She goes to me, no, hun, you two haven't paid your rent since December. Ooh. And with that little tidbit of information, any modicum of loyalty, a desire to save face, anything I had was gone. And on pure adrenaline, that bitch was just like, rah, to the forefront. And I called Todd at his grandmother's. I was like, so I just got this phone call. Do you care to explain what's going on? Where that $5,000 is? And he just started to cry, which was his response to most questions. And I was like, look, I can't do this anymore, I'm sorry. we've tried for a long time, it's not working, obviously, we're done. So without even really realizing it or thinking about what I was doing, I kind of dumped my fiance and called off my wedding over the phone. Oops. And a lot of people ask me, what was he doing with the money? I don't know. People say, like, was it drugs? Was it alcohol? I don't think he was that interesting. I think he ate it. I know that sounds mean, but like, I think he gained weight. Like, I think he just ate all of our money. And it was really difficult, but you know, it's what had to happen. With that little bit, now that y'all know I'm not getting married anymore, I'm going to take this wedding dress off. Woo! Not on stage! You didn't pay enough for that.
Burn that dress. Burn.
Not yet! God damn it!
Not with you in it.
This is a solo show. I'm going to be right in here. I'm going to talk to y'all through a microphone. Pretend like I'm still right here, but I'm just not wearing this ridiculousness another second longer. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. I'm taking my dress off now.
Woo!
Sad. So, that time in my life... Stop talking, I swear to God! That time in my life was really difficult for a lot of reasons. Obviously, I just called off a wedding, and I had to take care of all of the business of calling off a wedding. And I tried really hard not to let anybody know that it had bothered me. I was okay when I canceled the cathedral to match my veil. I was okay when I lost the $500 deposit on our what comes after the wedding? The reception. I lost that. And I was even okay when my parents went on my honeymoon. But they had such a great time, you guys. They used to call me every night from the cottage in Eugene-Malin that we had rented and tell me how lovely it was and how romantic and pretty and how I made such a great choice. But in all fairness, my dad had really wanted to put Todd in a crab hole, and he did not. So I feel like they totally earned that little, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out my dress and it's really hard. Yeah, they earned that vacation. And when I knew I was going to be okay was when my sister called me. And I said, you know what, Katie, I had a dream last night. She said, oh really, are you going to tell me about your dream? You're one of those people? And I said, yeah, I am. Oh, and I'm back. Thank you. So I told my sister about the dream I had had the night before. I had dreamt that Sidney Crosby was my boyfriend, and we were going to go to space. And we were going to go to space. Because in my dream he was an astronaut. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be just fine. And I was, but it took a really long time because I was so mad. And I wasn't even mad at Todd for the lying and the emotional manipulation. I was mad at myself for being stupid enough to fall for it. And for silencing myself for so long. Like, what kind of woman was I that I just let that happen? And it took me so long to get my feet back under me. Things would happen, like employers would take advantage of me, I wouldn't say anything. New romantic interests would treat me like I was disposable, I didn't care. New friends would be like mean to me, and I was just happy that someone was talking to me. It took so long to remember that I'm Jillian English, and it didn't happen for a really long time until I was doing a show called Love in the Time of Time Machines, which is an amazing show, and if you haven't seen it, shame on you. I was doing that show in Montreal, and I was in a venue, obviously, like one does with the show. And that venue had their nightly close-up show, and it was a really fun show. Montreal Fringe is super fun, y'all. You should go do it. It's great. And I was waiting for 13th Hour, which is the name of the show, to start. And I was having a drink. Let's see method here. with my friend. And all of a sudden, I see a drag queen come out on stage wearing my dress, my costume. So yeah, we've arrived to the actual drag queen stole my dress part. You made it through! So, I was like, what? What is happening? Because I knew it had to be my dress, and I'm great at confrontation. That doesn't mean I want it all the time. You know, it's like I don't want to have to fucking shank a bitch if I don't have to, but like, don't push me. So, I'm looking at this woman and I'm like, oh, I guess I gotta go do something about it. I didn't want to. I was tired. I just wanted to like watch some fun stuff and get drunk. I didn't want to have to deal with an asshole, but that's what assholes do. They shit all over things and you gotta fucking take care of it. So without even realizing what I was doing, I was just walking towards this woman and I didn't even know what I was gonna say until it just started like falling out, just tumbling out, and then I like more forcibly was talking, and then I was eventually just like yelling at this poor person. I present to you a vignette. I'm gonna be two people again. We've been there before. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be a drag queen. Me? Drag queen. It's gonna be great. I'm me right now. Hi, sorry, I think you're wearing my dress. Oh my god, no honey, this is not your dress, this is my dress, but I bet it would look great on you, oh my god. No, there's no way you can have the same dress as me. I bought that in New York. That's my dress, it's hanging backstage in the wardrobe rack. Like, this isn't your first Fringe, you know not to touch people's stuff. Oh, honey, you're so mistaken. It's a huge coincidence that we have the same dress, but like, no, this is mine. Okay, I'm really gonna need for you to stop lying to me right now because I'm losing my goddamn patience. Okay, that's my dress. I mean, please go take it off. Please go take it off. Alright, no, it's not my dress, okay? Ha, you caught me, it's not my dress. It's the theater's dress, it's in their tickle trunk, it's for everyone, it's like the village bicycle. Do not call my dress a whore. I am not in the mood for this, okay? Just honestly, take it off. What the hell is your fucking problem, man? Okay, fine. It's probably your dress. Whatever. It's just, I'm going on stage next, and my costume is all like sparkles and feathers and stuff, and it's a lot to just wear around until I go on, and so I just threw on your dress just to cover up these big boobies of mine. Oh my god, you know what I'm talking about. No! We will not commiserate over boobs, okay? I do not get to take mine off at the end of the day. You don't get that from me. Take it off now! At this point, I'm causing a scene. Everybody's watching. And for the first time in a long time, I don't give a shit. That is my dress. Take it off. It's like showgirls at the casino. No touchy. No touchy other people's shit at the Fringe. It's not a new rule. It's new. So at this point, the drag queen is getting disconcerted by my volume and anger. And she starts to back away from me. And she's like, okay, look, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I live like 5 minutes away. My car's just outside. I'm going to like run home. I'm going to put on another dress. I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring your dress. And everything's going to be great. And it's going to be so good. Oh, I'm so happy you were here because I didn't know whose dress I was wearing. And now I know it's yours and everything's okay. It's so good. Everything's okay. Okay, bye. And she ran away from me. What is it with people that are running away from me? It's okay. Don't feel bad. I was so mad. But it was a really crystal clear moment for me because it was the first time in a long time where I said exactly what was on my mind, and I didn't care. I didn't censor myself. I didn't back down from a situation. I didn't feel lesser than. And I didn't do anything wrong either, because in those kinds of moments you get like two inclinations. The first is to start to cry, which is of no use. You give away all your power the second you start boo-hooing, right? It's a natural inclination, but I couldn't do it. So no crying. My second natural inclination is to punch. Can't do that either. Not really in the spirit of the theater to hit another performer in the face. Also, my dad taught me to never hit someone with a closed fist. Fuck up your fingers. Elbow to the throat. There we go. Can't do that. That's not helpful. So I used my words. And even though she ran away from me and I was mad, I was full of righteous anger, and I felt so good about myself because I didn't back down and I was finally me again. Yeah, people might be like, what's with the crazy bitch? But that crazy bitch was me! And I got to, oh my goddamn dress, this is the dress she stole. I got it back. Because she came back about 10 minutes later, didn't have the ovaries to make eye contact with me, never apologized. And then I heard later on that she was talking backstage to some former friends of mine about a crazy bitch who lost it over her dress. And like I said, that crazy bitch was me. And I was so excited. Because 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said a word to that woman. I would have just let her take my dress. Because the idea of going up to someone and saying, hi, sorry, I feel like you're stealing from me, that might have made them not like me. And I couldn't have dealt with that. I wanted everyone to like me so bad because that's all I had. I needed that validation. And after dealing with everything with Todd, I was like, no, this shit is not happening tonight. And it was great. I felt better. And I felt like I could handle anything that came my way because I had been. For years, I'd been handling my own life just fine. I just needed one moment where I had to yell, drag queen, very publicly, to realize that I was just fine and I was going to be okay. And it was great. Because my name is Jillian English, and my bitch is back.